Don't get married. Yes, you heard that right. Don't get married until you hear this, because if you ignore it, you'll pay the price with your time, your dignity, and your money. You think you're gaining a partner, but what if you're walking straight into a trap? The illusion of love. She doesn't fall in love with you. She falls in love with the benefits you bring, the attention, the validation, the money, the future she imagines, not with you as a man, but with you as a tool. In the beginning, she studies you like a project. She mirrors your personality, laughs at your jokes, pretends to love what you love. She shows you the softest version of herself, so you'll invest everything into her. But the truth, she's performing. And like every performance, it ends. Once the ring is on her finger, her true self emerges. The sweet voice becomes cold. The support turns into criticism. The girl who once admired your grind now tells you you're never home enough. The one who used to say, "I believe in you," now says, "You're wasting your time." And you're stuck, legally, financially, emotionally. You gave your best to a fantasy and woke up next to a stranger. Emotional pressure, the trap you didn't see coming. She knows one thing about men. Most of them don't handle emotional guilt very well. So after months, or maybe years, of dating, she starts applying pressure. Where is this going? I'm not getting any younger. My parents keep asking, and then come the ultimatums. If you love me, marry me. If you're not serious, I need to move on. You start to feel like the bad guy for not proposing. Even if your gut is screaming that something's off, her tears, her threats to leave, her family pressure, it all blends into a storm that pushes you into a decision you're not ready for. And make no mistake, this isn't about love. It's about security. She wants the legal contract, the lifestyle, the status, and you're now the means to that end. The worst part? If you give in out of guilt, you'll wake up one day married to someone who never really respected you. She just conquered you. Her past is your future. Before you marry any woman, ask yourself one question. What kind of story is she bringing into my life? Because her past doesn't disappear. It just walks down the aisle with her. If she spent her early years chasing attention, validation, and chaos, don't expect her to suddenly become peaceful, loyal, and devoted just because she put on a white dress. A woman who's been through dozens of casual relationships, heartbreaks, and emotional roller coasters builds emotional walls. She becomes numb, detached, unimpressed by real love. And the more men she's been with, the harder it is for her to bond with you. Not because she's evil, but because her soul is exhausted. You're trying to build a future with someone who may be stuck in her past. And if you don't know what kind of history she carries, you might be walking into a lifetime of drama, trust issues, or even resentment. You're not just marrying her body, you're marrying her memories, her traumas, her regrets. That's why a wise man doesn't just ask, "Do I love her?" He asks, "Does her past protect my future or threaten it?" After the ring, when the switch flips, you thought you married peace, but soon after the wedding, you realize you married control. The soft tone becomes sharp. The patience turns into constant complaints. The woman who once admired your ambition now resents the very thing that made you who you are. You start walking on eggshells in your own home. You filter your words. You hide your stress. You sacrifice your dreams just to avoid another argument. And the worst part? You don't even recognize yourself anymore. The confident man she once pursued is now a quiet, drained version of himself. Because here's the harsh truth. Some women don't want a man to love. They want a man to control, to tame, to own. And marriage gives them the power to do just that. That's why many men don't leave, even when they're miserable, because divorce destroys them legally, financially, emotionally. So before you say "I do," ask yourself, is she the love of my life or the beginning of the end of it? The married dog, the lonely dog. They say a married man lives like a dog, constantly ordered, controlled, and expected to obey. And a single man? He dies like one, forgotten, isolated, and unloved. It's a brutal truth of modern manhood. You're either consumed by a system that uses your strength, your money, your patience, or you're left outside of it, judged for not settling down. The married man loses his freedom, the single man loses his comfort, but both pay, one with his soul, the other with his silence. That's why men today must think deeply before choosing either path, because no one will save you. Not marriage, not singleness, not society. You are your only protection. Choose wisely. What a man loses when he marries. When a man gets married, people only talk about what he gains: love, family, stability. But no one talks about what he loses. He loses his time, not just in hours, but in how he uses them. Suddenly, his schedule belongs to someone else. He loses his silence. A man's peace is sacred. In marriage, it becomes rare. Arguments, demands, noise. They replace the quiet that once healed him. He loses his privacy. His phone is no longer his. His thoughts are no longer his own. Even his mood is questioned. Why are you quiet? He loses his sexual freedom. Desire turns into duty. Passion becomes negotiation. Intimacy becomes conditional. He loses his financial control. Now his money isn't fully his. He works for more, but keeps less. And in many cases, she can legally take half, even if she contributed nothing. He loses his right to walk away. Before marriage, you can leave if things go bad. After marriage, you have to fight the law, society, family, and maybe your own children, just to escape. And worst of all, he often loses himself. The man who once dreamed, built, explored, becomes a shadow of who he used to be. Not every marriage does this, but the modern system is designed to strip a man slowly. So before you say "I do," ask yourself, are you gaining a partner or giving up everything that made you you? The price of not thinking. In a world where everyone tells you to man up and just get married, few stop to ask, at what cost? Marriage is not evil, but it is a contract. And if you walk into that contract blind, you may lose more than your money. You may lose your purpose, your voice, your freedom. Don't marry because you're lonely. Don't marry because you're pressured. Don't marry because it's time. Marry when it makes you stronger. When her presence brings peace, not war. When her past gives you trust, not fear. Until then, protect yourself, because no one else will. And if this message woke something up inside you, subscribe. This is not just a channel, it's a warning, and we're just getting started.